Let's talk. Let's talk some Blanchfield versus Andrade.
Let's not put any of the what we were. How about we start over? Because I feel like that's like hell.
Oh,
Like in the weeds and shit. Yeah, I would hate to put that in there.
that's where I was gonna. That's exactly where I was gonna cut in. Anyways, I wasn't gonna leave that stuff before it in.
Yeah, because I didn't want you to like. Because I was at January 6th, and you know what I mean. Like we all have our things we don't want people to know, but you can leave that in. I mean, I've done my time, so nothing really.
Aaron Blanchfield, Jessica Andrade, two people who I don't think were at the insurrection. They've locked horns this weekend at the UFC Apex. They really got to stop with these Apex cards, man. I'm tired of it.
I was gonna say, you really need to stop calling it an insurrection, because I mean, we were peaceful. We weren't the ones.
It was just everybody was just surprised that it went as far as it did, huh? I mean,
they let us in. They let us in. We pay for it. Technically, that was our property. So I mean, go ahead.
All right. Another UFC fight night is behind us. Yeah. Aaron Blanchfield versus Jessica Andrade. I'm giving myself an out and starting from the beginning again.
Yeah. No, leave that in. Fuck them. Let them know. Let them know where I stand.
I didn't watch. Okay, so I didn't watch most of this card. I got home in time to catch the main card. I got home. I missed the Jim Miller Alexander Hernandez fight, and I proceeded.
That one. Good one.
Okay. Fun. And I proceeded to watch three of the worst fights I've ever seen in my fucking life, dude.
Yes, dude. My son has been like super sick, which is why I couldn't do it yesterday. And then we're just all sick. And then that Saturday, I was like just laying down on the couch, like in and out of like fever dreams. And then like I did catch a bit of the Jim Miller fight, and then I went back and watched like some highlights. It was a fun fight. I did catch like the one that I was like lucid for was the Silva Buena fight.
Oh, okay.
That was a good one. And then I like woke up out of like this wild dream to that William Knight fight, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?" It was like that guy's in like fucking sleep paralysis demon, dude. What the fuck? What are you doing, dude?
Yeah, I think they calculated that he threw like one strike per 2 minutes or something like that. Something wild, like that's a crazy insane stat. I really wonder what
would Ben Askren territory, dude. And that guy.
I really wonder what could have made him freeze up like that. I'm not very familiar with Marcin Prachnio, so I don't know that like it was anything to do with his style specifically. That was what made William Knight shut down, but. Yeah, William Knight, like you had just mentioned, he got cut by the UFC because of that performance, as did Jordan Wright, because he also had a really weird performance where he was just content to be held up against. And to be fair, I do think the referee should have probably stepped in and broke that up a little bit sooner. But Jordan Wright was making no attempt to get his back off of the cage. He just kept looking at like he was just there to collect the check. And you know, I don't want to celebrate any guy losing their job, but I do think that they both did show that they're really just not UFC level. So I think it would probably be better for them in the long run that they go out there and kind of prove themselves a little bit more. I'm not even going to say on the regional scene, but you know, there's the Bellators, the PFLs. They'll have their opportunities, and if they want to get back into the good graces of the UFC, they'll have their chance to put on better performances. But like I said, we're not here to talk about any of that shit. There's one fight worth talking about on this card, in my opinion. Aaron Blanchfield, Jessica Andrade. Aaron Blanchfield climbs to 11-1 in her most recent featherweight conquering of Jessica Andrade. And we both had to eat a little bit of crow on this one. I mean, we were rooting for I was rooting for Blanchfield hard. I don't know if you really cared one way or the other. But
no, I do. I like to take, like, because with WMMA, sorry, dude, I just like jumped all over you, but with WMMA, I'm not like a huge fan of. I mean, not that I don't like it or anything. I'm just not like I don't follow it. as much as you do.
Yeah, you have
But
the Khabib Nurmagomedov kind of like stance on things,
yeah,
right?
like keep them
Yeah.
keep them where in their place.
Yeah.
But
there should be an oven and a sink in the cage when they're
yeah,
fighting and things like that.
yeah,
You know?
like in that corner in the P3 corner. Where they're like getting ready, like untie their apron, kiss their children. No, but I think I like it like what's the word that I'm looking for? Like where I just kind of like go through. What's the word? There's I don't know. I always missing out on it, but it's like kind of living through you. You know what I mean? Like so, like you kind of tell me who to like. More like I know what's good and what's wrong. I'm not saying I don't understand, but like I kind of like to listen to you. And then so when you put me on to this, and I'm like, okay, or to her, and just watch. So like I find myself like, oh shit, yeah.
Vicariously
like
being a MMA fan.
Vicarious is the word. Yeah, a WMMA fan through you. So it's like, okay, you know, I would prefer. I do have like certain biases, like. I do like Amanda Nunes is I'm been a fan of hers for like a really long time. Really something does Verna Jandaroba just does something to me. Couldn't tell you what it is, but
put a spell on you. Huh?
Yeah,
those Jandaroba high heels.
Yeah, but yeah.
This is one that we were really concerned that this was maybe potentially too stiff of a test for Erin Blanchfield. I mean, it was pretty evident they were willing to work her up through the rankings really fast when she had that big splash over Molly McCann. And she was booked with Tyla Santos, which was just as good as a test, but seemingly potentially less dangerous. If anything, probably potential for a boring fight there because they're both really high level grapplers. But Jessica Andrade, just few other girls can match the pressure and the power that she brings to the table. She's not perfect by any means. You know, she's not a great boxer, but she just kind of has as close as you can get to like a force of nature in the women's division, like animalistic in the way that she's really able to put pressure on her opponents. And I think a lot of girls just, I don't know if we said it in the last episode or if it was in our DMs, but I said like a lot of girls go their entire career without facing the kind of pressure and power that Jessica Andrade can put on them. And those girls might look really, really good until they just get that next level. And it doesn't have to be the sharpest like offense or anything like that, but it's just this kind of pressure that never lets you set up, never lets you go tit for tat or fight the pace that you want to fight at. And Erin Blanchfield went in there and did what I thought was going to end up being a mistake, because one of the biggest question marks around her going into this is like, where's her striking really at, and can she take a shot? And I feel like she passed that test with flying colors in both aspects, because she went right into the pocket, and for like the first 10 seconds, like my butthole puckered up and I was like, what the fuck are you doing? And then she just started drilling Jessica Andrade to the face with straight punches, and that was the name of the game. And she ate more than...
Pulled her titty out.
She pulled her titty out.
She did everything.
Yeah, and she ate a few heavy shots in kind too. A few of those right hands landed for Jessica Andrade as well. And I think that was probably one of the biggest, one of the more telling things that made me more confident in her going forward in a potential fight with the champion, is the ability to take that shot. Because if she can't get Valentina down, she's gonna get pieced up a bit. You know, her striking's not to that level to where she can hang with someone like Valentina, but it's good to know that she's not going to eat a heavy shot for the first time in her career and then like freak out, and then like everything's just going to go out the window, and her technique's going to go out the window, and she's going to panic. That didn't happen against arguably like the heaviest puncher in the flyweight division. So what do you think about her prospects as a contender?
I don't see
forward?
anything stopping her from winning the title. I think clear, because you know how I feel about Valentina. I was not super impressed with the last few years. So it's just, I don't see why not. I don't see anything that can really, besides just, I mean, Valentina is for sure a Hall of Famer, one of the best female fighters of all time. You know, so I'm not trying to say she's not, but that just kind of goes to like for me to say what I think of Blanchfield and what I think she can do. I think we mentioned it in the last convo that we had, was just, this is probably a worse matchup. And it was, and you just, everything, and you showed the mental side of what she has, where the mental game, if you're ready, is where she went for some takedowns early and they got stuffed. She got popped in the fucking head hard, like really hard, and it didn't stop her. She definitely had a plan for what she was going to do. And she just, okay, well, this takedown didn't happen. I'm going to do it, set it up a different way this time.
Yeah.
And in the second round, it worked. So,
yeah, and I think I'm glad that you mentioned that too, because it kind of shows her ability to adapt and change if it's not going her way, because she did have 2, maybe 3 takedown attempts in that first round that didn't work. She was just going for
it wasn't just like kind of stuff. There was I audibly like went, oh fuck, because she kind of hit her with that, like she grabbed her under the arm and just pushed her away, like, no, what are you doing? And I was like, God damn. If it's that easy, because sometimes early on in fights, the takedown just doesn't work. There's just too much energy, too much adrenaline. It was her first main event, right? So it's just a lot going on. Maybe she didn't do it right, but you can see that it was close. But okay, maybe just go for a double leg next time, or maybe go about it a different way.
Right.
But it looked like it was not going. If you would have just gone off the first round and how those were stuff, you would have thought there was no chance there was any way she was gonna take her down the entire fight. And that's when I was like, oh no. And then so it was like, okay, well, I'm gonna have to stand. And then she got popped. So yeah, like to adjust to that, and to adjust to the circumstances in such a huge moment for her was it's a revelation.
Yeah, it really did look like there was potential that it could just end up being like a tough, like close stand-up fight, because in the moment, right after that first round, I think I scored it for Erin Blanchfield, but I know a lot of people scored it for Jessica Andrade, and rewatching it, it could really have gone either way, because I think Andrade really did land the more meaningful shots. But yeah, she switches it up, goes for the inside trip, gets the takedown that way, and I like that. I think that, well, one of my biggest hangups on any like standout grappler or Brazilian jiu-jitsu player that I just can't stand is when they're an ace in the jiu-jitsu department and have nothing in the wrestling department. Like your bread is buttered on the ground. That is what you've lived and breathed for so many years, is just being this killer on the ground, and you've never worked on how you're going to get it there. You've always just depended. Mackenzie Dern. Yeah, no, so like that's always been one of the biggest frustrating things for me. So it's really refreshing to see that if she doesn't have it with the wrestling, she's gonna reach into her bag of tricks, and she has trips and upper body throws and stuff. So I think like going to what you said about like how we mentioned or how I mentioned on the previous episode, that I actually thought that her chances are better against Valentina than Jessica Andrade, just because the pure physicality. I'm still saying that. I think there's a lot of avenues for her to get the fight to the ground against Valentina. I don't really buy that across 5 rounds it's not going to get to the ground, and I think the skill gap, or the difference between what Valentina is able to do on the ground and her defense, which isn't bad. She's survived on the ground with Taila Santos, who's also a super high level grappler. I'm pretty confident though that Erin Blanchfield's very offensive grappling game compared to Taila Santos' more like positional grappling game, that's going to put Valentina in a lot of trouble if it goes there. And it's not a thing that I'm saying like, I mean, maybe I'll make that pick right now, but it's partially because I'm rooting for her so hard, because I just kind of want to see her shake things up. I'll pick Erin Blanchfield right now. But like anything, these fight results don't exist in a vacuum. Like it comes down to one of those, like, how do you see it, like a 60-40 kind of split? You know what I mean? I'll go 60% for Erin Blanchfield, but obviously not ruling out the potential for Valentina to win it, because she is the champion for a reason. She's been the champion for so long because she has the resolve. She's able to adapt and overcome in the championship rounds and have her moments. She fought 5 rounds multiple times already now. And of course, she's an absolute dynamo on the feet. But fights always go to the ground. Many of Valentina's fights have gone to the ground. We've seen girls control her up against the cage. We've seen girls control her on the ground, take her back. I just don't think she could end up, or I don't think she can afford to end up in those situations with Erin Blanchfield.
it would be really hard for me to make a pick. If I had to do it right now,
Mhm.
I would probably pick Valentina by like 70-30. You said 60-40. I'd say 70-30.
Mhm.
And not because of anything other than the, like you mentioned, just the wealth of knowledge that she has. It's probably going to go, it's going to be, excuse me, sorry. It's probably going to, it's probably going to get to the point where she's going to just pull some veteran, you know, I think it would be a lot closer to like what we saw than recency bias, but like with Volk and Islam, where Islam just kind of did some wily shit
Mhm.
that kind of won him the match. You know what I mean? Like if it was a fight, I think Blanchfield would really do some damage to her, and it would be interesting to see if it goes to like a fourth and fifth, like what she would look like in the fourth and fifth round.
Yeah, she's never been
So
there.
yeah. So I think that's what that gives me the 70-30.
Mhm.
But she's, I mean, everybody's had their first time, and you know, so you can't fault her for. It's not her fault. She's not been there yet. You know. So,
True.
yeah.
All right, well, we'll see how she deals with the extra media and all of that, too, going into that. It's also up in the air as to whether or not she'll get the next title shot. There are some people saying, well, I mean, Alexa Grasso is still there. She's going to fight Valentina in a week, a little over a week. It's not this week. It's next weekend, but so we'll see how that goes.
Pretty awesome how that's set up. I think you mentioned it, she just wins and then fights Amanda and then leaves. Like, okay, bye. See you later. Like, that would be crazy.
Wait, I'm sorry, what?
She fights Grasso. She just fights Grasso, then fights Amanda, and then that's it. What do you think the chances of that happen?
Amanda Nunes, you mean?
Yeah. So she beats Grasso, and then holds up the division, and then for the super fight with Nunes, that gets drawn out because they can't figure out the contract or weight or whatever. Then she fights Nunes, and then that's like maybe a instant rematch. So that it's just like 3 years later, and it's like dang, and she's like an intern,
I would be very disappointed in that. Yeah,
yeah.
Now that we
Could you see that happening?
I don't think anyone's really hungry for that Nunes rematch anymore. I mean, there's probably some people that are, who just kind of watch WMMA off to the side and know that those two have history and aren't really super tuned in. But right now, now that we have at least what I consider to be like a real intriguing contender, I would be so disappointed if they ended up going with that fight out of nowhere. After years of asking for it, if they're like, okay, now that nobody gives a fuck about it, now we're gonna do it. But I mean, I won't rule it out. Schedule wise, Valentina's got a full plate this year. I think it's very, very likely that we see her fight 3 times this year.
I had this fucking, when we're talking, I'm just like, well, what if she just beats Grasso and then does like a fucking hold up the division, like quadrilogy or whatever that would be. Would it be 3 fights with Nunes if they do?
It would be the third one if they fight again. Yeah. And if they do a rematch, then it would be the 4th one. I don't think they would do an instant rematch. Like if Valentina moved up and fought.
But I'm saying, like, if it's like this fucking, Figueiredo fucking Moreno type deal where it's like so close,
Yeah. Yeah, that would be a
I
mess.
guess I'm just a doomer, but I just like, I'm not ruling that out because I just think that could happen.
Mm-hmm. I suppose it could happen. I think it would take Amanda Nunes also really wanting it because she seems content to just chill right now. I mean, I think they were trying to set her up in the fight with Irene Aldana, which would be cool.
Yeah, but she needs cash. They need money, dude. Mm. You know what I mean? Like, I never had it. She needs money. I can guarantee you she needs money, dude.
You don't think Nina Ansarov was raking it in while she was fighting?
No, I mean, she's doing the Lord's work, taking care of the baby. Which, they put in jiu-jitsu. I think she's like 2 years old or something like that. But, Okay, then we're derailing this podcast.
It's all good. I hope
You
that
could tell,
doesn't
like,
happen.
you could tell there's no card. There's like zero card coming up this week too. So.
Well, let's
We're
transition.
talking about Amanda Nunes' kids and fucking BJJ. Fucking Dana, what a piece of shit. Thanks again, dude.
Do you ever kind of miss their like having to wait like a whole ass month before you saw any MMA fights? Like, you know, this card wraps up, and I'm not gonna see anything from the UFC for another month, maybe a month and a week.
No, yeah, you're right. But I did see like a card that they showed. They're like, man, I missed these cards, and it was like Habib was like in the middle of the prelims fighting Michael Johnson, and it was like, dang, look at that card. I don't remember which one it was, but I was like, God damn, like. That was wild. That would have been so sick to see now. But like, now that you mention it, it was because those guys were never fighting.
Yeah, so. It's kind of crazy to think too that some dudes were like just on back-to-back cards because of how far apart the cards were. Like, because there was a time, I want to say when I first started watching, I think they had already just finally gone straight up every month. They had a card. But I think when I was I started
even
watching
then
2006 is when I kind of first noticed it, but I wasn't really watching it. It was like my brother-in-law would be like, oh, there's this fight or whatever. And my understanding was that like around that time there was still like not multiple months, but it was pretty spread out for a while.
Sure.
Have you ever watched UFC 1 or 2 or any of those cards?
I have watched them. Multiple times, not recently, probably not within the last 5 or 6 years. You know?
So it's okay. I'm not gonna make you recollect anything.
Homie with the glove and then Big Daddy Goodrich.
Yeah.
Was it Yarbrough? Kyle Yarbrough?
Emmanuel Yarbrough. Yeah.
Emmanuel Yarbrough. Yeah. So I know who. Yeah.
I've never watched UFC 1. I've watched like clips, I guess, but I've never actually like sat down and tried to watch it. And I was scrolling through YouTube earlier today, and I randomly UFC 2 is in its entirety is on YouTube. So I'm like, I'm gonna check this out. And I watched like the first 3 or 4 fights, and dude, it's a rough watch. It's so wild what this sport came from. There was one fight where I wasn't prepared for this, so I couldn't name the fighters, and they weren't like the iconic UFC 1 fighters like Arch Emerson and all that shit. But it was like a Wing Chun guy versus a karate guy, and the Wing Chun guy comes out and he's doing his bullshit little hand motions until the other guy does like spinning kicks him in the midsection, and you could see it switch where he goes like, oh yeah, I forgot this is all the sham, this is bullshit, and I need to actually try and fight this guy. His Wing Chun goes out the window immediately. The fight goes to the ground, and basically it turns into the karate guy sitting in the Wing Chun guy's guard for like 15 minutes because they didn't have rounds. So he's just in his guard forever. And at one point, his whole ass was out because he's in he's in gi pants, and the other guy is working a guard, but his legs are like pushing down the gi pants. So straight up, full on black butt, just on full display. Damn. And Big John McCarthy's just kind of like, I don't know what to do about this right now. Yeah. So he lets it go straight full ass out for like a solid minute before Big John decides to come over and try and pull his pants up while they're actively fighting. So like the top part of their bodies, they're like trying to do ground and pound on each other.
What the hell?
And all I could imagine is being that guy. You're trying to beat this dude up, and you feel another man like pulling your pants up so you're not moving the entire audience. Dude, it was just a fucking spectacle, dude. And the commentary was hilarious too.
Yeah. I remember a buddy of mine's girlfriend got in a fight and her titties came out, and she was wearing like and then so like she was in the middle of fighting, and he was like trying to pull, cause everyone had their phones out. And so like he was like trying to pull her tube top over, like but she was like still swinging. She's like, get away from me, babe. I remember that.
It's so sad that for pretty much it's always the girl with the Cookie Monster pajamas on. That girl is always the most ready to fight because of the clothing. Like there's just...
No, she wasn't a Cookie Monster pajama girl. In spirit she was.
No, yeah, I'm
Yeah,
not saying she was. It's just most of what women wear is not ideal for fighting, I feel like. But
right.
it's not until you get to that to where it's like,
This was outside
yeah.
Club Arcos, you know, like she had one of those, like a bandana top.
Uh-huh.
Um, but have you ever seen that online video where that a keto guy goes into an MMA gym and he has that like that long? I put it in my story not too long ago. I'll send you the video. But he's like has like this long hair and he goes in with like these like crazy sweats and like t-shirt and he's like an Aikido guy and so he's like talking shit like Aikido is better than MMA.
Of course.
And then so like he's like talking shit to the trainer and then the trainer goes, oh, and then the trainer just finds some random guy like that's training there. He goes, hey, Greg. And then he goes, what? Like, this guy wants to fight. And he's like, oh, okay. And then the Aikido guy like, gets into the stance and then he gives him one smack to the head and then a body kick and he's like, time out. And like he like walks away. I'll send that. You've seen that, right? I think you've seen.
I'm pretty sure I've watched it. Yeah, what you described sounds really familiar. And I
Yeah,
love those old school like total fish out of water guy goes into a gym with way too cocky. Like there's a lot of those videos too. The Gracie Challenge videos from back in the day too. Just
right.
The best one is when I don't know who was the narrator. I think it was maybe Hoyler or something. There's a video of Hickson fighting a guy who came into one of their gyms when they were still doing the Gracie Challenge, who didn't know jiu-jitsu obviously, and Gracie and I think Hickson gets him in a mounted triangle, and the way Hoyler is narrating it, he's just like, from here he is helpless. There is nothing he can do. It is a very terrifying feeling. In the streets, this is a dead man. And I was like, dude, you're really selling your martial arts system. Dude.
Yeah, for real. Huh?
All right, let's talk this Nikita Krylov Ryan Spann.
Here we go. Yeah, we got to.
Light heavyweight main event for this UFC Apex card. Nikita the Minor Krylov. Old heads know him as Capone. Don't forget it. Ryan Superman Spann. Krylov 29-9 versus 21-7-0 for Ryan Spann. Ryan Spann, of course, coming off of it. Oh, that's light heavyweight rankings. Why are you showing me light heavyweight rankings? Well, Ryan Spann coming off of his one punch knockout win of Dominic Reyes, whose last name I was getting confused with Yair Reyes recently. I coming out of that fight, I was like, holy shit, Ryan Spann, there we go. You finally, kind of showed up. And I was kind of high on Ryan Spann coming out of that fight, thinking that was pretty impressive of him, which it was, because he really just knocked him out cold with a pawing jab.
That was brutal.
So I'm looking at that thinking like, Jesus Christ, what kind of power does Ryan Spann possess? But I decided to do my due diligence because Nikita Krylov is a guy who I'm not picking to be a champion anytime soon, but yeah, super underrated is Nikita Krylov. Good everywhere. So I kind of wanted to break this down a little bit and go back and watch some Ryan Spann fights, because admittedly there was a time when I was getting Ryan Spann confused with Jamal Hill. So I'm like, okay.
Oh, that's so crazy that you said that. I was like, okay, let him talk and then say, who does he remind you of? Like he's a slower Jamal Hill.
A little bit, yeah. And I think there's something to do with their tattoos too, like the Superman, and then Jamal Hill's got the hands.
Yeah.
So I went back and I rewatched some of his fights. I watched his fight with Ivan Kutalaba, Misha Serkinov, the Johnny Walker fight, the notorious Johnny Walker fight. And I don't think Ryan Spann's that good of a fighter.
He's just a slower. This has always been the weird thing for me, which is if you look at their stats in the light heavyweight division and you go 6'4", 205, and then you look at their picture and you're just like, God damn, that guy looks like an MMA fighter. Like, you know what I mean? Like if it's, like the guy, like casting for Friends, or like casting for the fucking, the like sitcom where they're like, we need an MMA fighter. Mm-hmm. They would send a light heavyweight, because you wouldn't send like a heavyweight, because you wouldn't want like a Tai Tuivasa looking dude walking out there. And then you wouldn't want like a Volkanovski tiny guy. You'd want the guy that's like 6'3", 205,
and shredded.
walking around about 220, just absolutely shredded.
Yeah.
A lot of these guys are football players. You know, a lot of them are like crazy athletes. It's that weight class. And then a lot of them fucking suck. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean, I need to relax, dude. A lot of them just aren't, like, it's just like, why aren't you guys better? Like, what is it about you guys, dude?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's almost like the division forcing itself to be mediocre. There's just not a lot of guys in the light heavyweight landscape that are forcing everybody else to really up their skills. Sure. It's still a division, like I'd mentioned in previous episodes, where you can get a guy with good athleticism, a former athlete from another sport potentially who didn't really pan out for them there, who have big power and solid instincts, and if they can put guys to sleep, and even if they're kind of on a win-lose type of record, you can be viable in the light heavyweight division. We've seen it with a lot of guys. I like one of my examples that I like to bring up right now. Not that I think he's necessarily that, because I'm kind of high on him, but like a Carlos Olberg kind of reminds me of that, where he's just that guy, exactly the guy that you described, just a fucking Adonis, shredded, swings really hard, hits really hard.
I thought you would say swinging dick on him.
I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Yeah.
And then here we have Ryan Spann, who kind of represents some of those things, but is just so hittable. And that really stood out to me too, especially like in the Misha Serkinov fight, like a guy who really shouldn't have been putting hands on him like that. He credit to him, he ends up getting the win in that Misha Serkinov fight by finish. But then also like the Johnny Walker fight, that was a weird one. He has the power to put it on Johnny Walker, but Johnny Walker is also like, if there's one guy who's more hittable in this division than Ryan Spann, it's Johnny Walker. And he's probably the only guy who's more chinny. But
is it SGI? No, is it with SGI with Kavanaugh? He's been fainting Johnny Walker now, like kind of like faking and moving in and out. Johnny Walker's looked a lot better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Whatever that means.
Whatever that counts for. And other holdups I have, not to just like make this a shit on Ryan Spann segment either, but in terms of concerns in this matchup, because like I said, I'm high on Nikita Krylov. This is also a 5-round main event. It shouldn't be. I think there's other fights on this card that are more worthy of being the main event. But it is going to go 5. I mean, not guaranteed to go 5. It's scheduled for 5. Surprisingly, Ryan Spann does have some 5-round experience on his record, which I didn't expect to find, but before he got into the UFC, he was in some regional championship fights that went the distance. One was a win, one was a loss. So he's not a complete stranger to the 5-round format, whereas Nikita Krylov actually is. So that's one feather in Ryan Spann's hat. A bit of experience that he could bring into this fight to kind of even the playing field with Nikita Krylov a bit. I just think that I'd say Nikita's, for as well-rounded as he is, I'd say his biggest holdback is I'm not necessarily sure how I see him getting the fight to the floor. He's not necessarily like a standout wrestler. He's not like a crafty clinch fighter who can find a trip or anything there. He kind of just relies on chaos, bringing the fight to the ground for him. Mm-hmm. But when it gets there, I think Nikita Krylov has the ground control, the submission offense. I don't think he's necessarily going to look for a submission here. I think it behooves him to try and find a finish here and make a statement with them being, putting light heavyweights at the main event. But I see it being one-way traffic for Nikita Krylov. Unfortunately, probably going to be a unanimous decision. I don't want to see it go the distance, but it probably is.
I'm going to take the pussy route and say, like, unless Spann can get him in the first 2 rounds. That's a whole pussy thing to say, like the obvious thing to say, but I mean, I think it's true. Like, but I really liked what Nikita's done in the last year and a half. So
wins over Volkan Ozdemir, Alexander Gustafsson.
He was very good.
Yeah, straight ran through Alexander Gustafsson. Yeah.
Ozdemir is very good. he's like a clown, kind of, with that like time, or you know what I mean, like his like special move or whatever it is that he does, like pointing to his watch. But he's very good everywhere. Well, as well rounded as you can get for the division. So
yeah,
I mean,
and fairness to both guys, because I did kind of I did kind of rag on Ryan Spann a lot more than Krylov there. Both guys, you can look at their records, and what it really comes down to is they're losing to the guys that you say, like, oh yeah, of course he'd lose to that guy. Nikita Krylov, his loss is coming to like Magomed Ankalaev, Glover Teixeira, Jan Blachowicz, just kind of really demonstrating that he is a real like the epitome of a gatekeeper here. He's just not getting it done against just that. Once he gets to that little upper echelon, he's not able to kind of like pass that test necessarily. And Ryan Spann has a lot more green in his win column, to be fair, with his losses coming to Anthony Smith and Johnny Walker, but those are pretty bad losses, man. I'm not very high on Anthony Smith either. So, but yeah, we'll see. And I was kind of giving Nikita Krylov some love for that Alexander Gustafsson win. But in fairness, if I'm going to call Dominic Reyes washed, to kind of like discount Ryan Spann's most recent win, I kind of have to say the same thing about Alexander Gustafsson, because Gustafsson just did not look like he showed up for that fight at all. And I don't think he's with the UFC
Gustafsson just doesn't look like he showed up for the last 5 years. kind of deal.
It's a guy who's mentally or physically, I'm not sure what it is, very, very seemingly checked out on the sport. Yeah. Well, let me swipe across. Oh, and we have middleweight action to talk about in our co-main event. Andre Muniz versus Brendan All-In Allen. I'm not going to attempt to say Andre Muniz's nickname. I do want translations for all Brazilian nicknames, though. I do think it's interesting to hear what their nicknames are. Yeah, you
caught the pile driver.
Yeah.
Last week.
I always thought JDS's nickname, Cigano, was really cool when I found out it stands for gypsy. I had no idea.
Wow.
I was like, oh, Cigano, I mean, that sounds cool enough as it is, but he's gypsy, and that made it kind of weird, I guess. It didn't really make sense to me, but it's still a cool nickname.
I always thought that was like some type of like wild-ass horse or something.
No, it's Vicavallo. Fabricio Verdum.
Yeah, Fabricio Verdum, right. Oh, there you go. Vicavallo, there you go. That's a sick name.
That's pretty
Crazy
dope.
Horse, like if you could be called. Yeah, there's a guy, sorry to derail it, but there's a guy that used to play baseball for the Giants. They called him Crazy Horse because he was either like sick as fuck, badass, or just sucked, and like you couldn't get shit out of him. And it was like, dang. And then the way he looked, like his face, was like, dang, Crazy Horse.
The inconsistent king.
Yeah.
No, you don't worry about derailing me. I don't want to talk about this fight. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, no, talk to him as far as right. I wanted to let you just ride this Crazy Horse on the Tatiana Suarez.
I don't know if I have a whole lot to say about that fight. I'm very excited for her return. But if she's up to form, or if she's 100%, I'll wait till we get to that fight. Andre Muniz, I think is one of the more I think is an intriguing prospect. I can't say one of the more impressive prospects in this middleweight division anymore. Not because he's not, but just because there are guys like Bo Nickel about to make their debut. And other guys coming up that are like already pegged for guys that are inevitably going to be contenders. And Andre Muniz is there. It's just as this division gets a little bit deeper, especially at the deeper end of the division, further down the rankings, Andre Muniz just hasn't been. Let's see, when did he fight most recently? July of 2022. So against Uriah Hall. So he's been out of commission for a little bit. I'm not sure if that was due to any injury or anything like that, but I would definitely like to see him be a bit busier than that. He only fought once in 2022. Before that, he fought Eric Anders in 2021, December of 2021. And earlier in 2021, he had that really impressive inverted armbar of Jacare de Souza And I think that might have been what, retired Jacare, if I remember correctly. But super, super impressive armbar from the back, where he had him in back control and transitioned to the armbar from there. The Ivan Salivary, just super, super slick stuff. And he is facing Brendan Allen, 20-5, coming off of wins over Krzysztof Jotko, who ain't good, Jacob Malkoun, Sam Alvey, who also ain't good. Coming off an impressive little win
Jacob
streak.
Malkoun is the best like you can find out of that stretch. Damn.
Yeah, and to his credit though, two of those are finishes. He's got that round one rear naked choke finish of Krzysztof Jotko, the finish of Sam Alvey. This is a guy who likes to get it done by submission too. He's not a stranger in that category. He has a win. He has a lot of rear naked choke wins. I believe earlier in his career he has a win by heel hook that I saw somewhere in here. Yeah, he's got rear naked chokes, Americanas, triangles. So he's not going to be a complete fish out of water with Andrade Muniz. I think that as much as I was kind of like joking around, but like I don't want to talk about this fight. I don't have a super in-depth breakdown for it, but I think that it has potential to be a pretty interesting and exciting ground fight, because Andrade Muniz, for as good of a grappler as he is, going back and having watched a few of his fights also to kind of like refamiliarize myself and recontextualize, he is very, very stubborn. He's like a hyper-offensive grappler, and there are openings there for him. He's really good, but he really, really loves trying to go for that armbar. And I almost feel like, dude, there are other more higher percentage submissions that you can go for.
Like, take it easy, Ronda.
Exactly. And not that I'm necessarily worried about that being like his undoing in a matchup with a guy like Brendan Allen, but it makes things a little bit more uncertain. And I think the best I can hope for is that it's a competitive grappling match with a lot of scrambles. And I think that would give us some entertainment value in this co-main event. Do you have a pick for this fight?
I'm gonna take Brendan Allen, just to be spicy about it.
Just to be different.
Yeah. Just because I feel like I mopped up pretty good with my picks, going opposite of you the last time. So
I did not do good on this last card.
Yeah, you did
so bad. We picked, we both like hesitantly picked Andrade. I ended up picking Blanchfield on verdict, and that's like the only fight that I got right. I was so fucked up on everything else. Who else did I get right from that card? No, I'm not going to go back to it and open it. Okay, cool. So we got a little bit of different differentiating picks. I'm going for Muniz. You're going for Brendan Allen. Dope.
Yep.
Cool. I'm sure that will be a good middleweight fight, and it won't give me reasons to shit on the middleweight division anymore. It's going to save the division, and it's going to be the marquee division moving forward. Tatiana Suarez.
Are you going to go? You're just going to pass up the monkey god, or?
Yes, straight up. I'm not going to not pass it up.
It's monkey god, right? Jordan Levitt.
Jordan Levitt. Oh, he's on the undercard. I thought you were grilling me.
No,
about...
I'm just joking. I just like there's nothing here to talk about.
I was for a second there. I was thinking like, is that on the main card? But I thought you were joking about me passing up Augusto Sakai versus Dontel Mays, and yeah, I'm passing that up big.
I think Sakai's gonna knock his fucking head off.
Probably, but nah, he's also not a heavyweight that I'm really excited for moving forward. There is a cool heavyweight match that was announced that we could talk about a little bit before we talk about this Tatiana Suarez fight. Did you see
Almeida?
Jailton Almeida versus Biggie Boy, Jairzinho Rosenstruck.
That's a good one. That is a spicy
That's a good one.
Boy.
And then the other one that was announced earlier today,
Sergey Pavlovich,
and Curtis Blades. Exciting fights in the heavyweight division. Kind of feel for. No, I don't. No, I don't feel bad for Curtis Blades here. In fact, I think that they're potentially doing him a favor here and setting him up for success, because Sergey Pavlovich, the guy's on a streak. And the guy's red hot right now. A lot of people are excited to see him kind of like rise up and fight the top of this division.
I think he's going to be the champ. I said he'd be the
chaos.
champ.
You did. I forgot that you made that insane pick. But it's
not insane, dude. After he dismantles the very brave and very
you see it coming from a mile away.
Yeah, the very brave and the very, just a hell of a guy.
It's courageous.
Curtis Blades. Mm-hmm. Courageous, yeah. The amazing story. Just a real inspiration to handicap people across the world.
Salt of the earth.
Yeah. I think everyone's going to be like, oh, fuck. Because I think the way that Sergey's going to not get wrestle fucked is going to surprise everybody. Mm-hmm. I think everybody's like, well, Curtis could take down anybody. Curtis could ground pound anybody. Mm-hmm. And then I think Sergey's going to go like, no, you're not going to do that. And then everybody's like, well, who's going to fucking beat him now? I feel like that's
do you think Sergey's just going to like put his hand on Curtis Blade's forehead?
And then Curtis Blade's going to do the scrappy do, like trying to punch him.
For the novelty of it, I hope that happens. Yeah. I don't remember seeing what Sergey Pavlovich's wrestling game looks like. I know he lost his first fight in the UFC, and I think that was to Overeem, right?
I
should have pulled it up.
Which is that's a tough fucking
debut.
Debut, dude. Mm-hmm. Goddamn. Come
on. But we know Curtis Blades is his MO or his what should I call this? The man knows how to lose right when he's on the precipice.
Right.
The Derek Lewis knockout, excuse me. Both Ngannou losses. I think that Sergey Pavlovich definitely has the tools, the reaction time, the reflexes to have a repeat performance of something like that, because I don't necessarily know that Curtis Blades has gotten smarter about setting up his takedowns. His hands have gotten better. His boxing is noticeably improved.
Yes.
And we know that his wrestling is great. Really, really powerhouse wrestler. He's going to shoot a double straight through you. And he has good top control, but he tends to, it looks like he telegraphs it a bit much, and guys like Derek Lewis have been able to read that. And Derek Lewis isn't a guy who we're going to give like props to for being a real thinking man's fighter either. So if this is a guy who's going to make that read on you, Sergey Pavlovich can certainly do that also. So I hope he's made improvements there. I hope he uses his striking to set up his takedowns a bit more in this fight, and I think it's a very winnable fight for Curtis Blades, but an exciting one.
No, it's definitely a winnable fight. I just think like there's not a ton of like evidence to support like my wild ass claim or my wild ass like what I think.
Yeah,
especially me being but I think this is going to be like, oh fuck, you were right, dude. And I'm going to be like, yes I was. Yes I was.
If anything, this helps your prediction. Like, you make a great point. Like, if he gets past Curtis Blades here, what else is there for him? He's definitely, I'm not going to say he's going to earn a title shot.
Just watch the way that he does it. Watch the way that he does it. It's going to be like, oh, fuck. Oh, shit. Like, I was not ready for this. I'm telling you right now, dude, I get these weird things, and I'm going to look like a complete jagoff come Easter. But
honestly, you were daring to be great right now because I pulled up the rankings. No. And Curtis Blades is the number 2 ranked. Anyway, I don't remember. This is Tapology.
He's going to dismantle Curtis Blades. It's going to look like, what? And I'm going to be right here all, yeah, I do it. But there's this weird thing that I have in my life. I'm not good at anything, dude. Nothing. Literally nothing in my life. Like, just not, right?
If I was a better friend, this is where I'd stop you and be like, dog, you're great at this, you're great at this, but I'm over here scratching
but you
my
can't
head.
find it, but you're a smart guy, so you can't find anything. But just like spotting, like just kind of like spotting something where like no one else is really looking for some reason, and it doesn't help anyone. who is this going to help? Like, you know what I mean? Is this going to get my kids into college? No. Should I be more focused on doing that right now? Yes.
Uh,
But like, I just know that Sergey Pavlovich is going to do this. It's insane. It's insane as that sounds.
it's sounding less and less insane by the second. Because, like I
Yeah.
said, I'm looking at these Tapology rankings right now. Cyril Gahn is number 1. He's going to be fighting John in a week. And number 2 and number 3 are Curtis Blades and Sergey Pavlovich. So if Sergey does get this win, and in an emphatic way, if he gets a fucking highlight reel finish or something, yeah, actually, he could be right there. He could be challenging for the title. I'm gonna fucking flip my shit if you get your prediction right in a division.
No,
In a
get
division,
ready, dude.
yeah, that's insane. I didn't realize how close he was, but yeah, he's right there, dude.
Well, it's because Francis is gone.
Yeah.
I didn't make this I wouldn't 100% would not have said this if Francis would still be here
Hmm.
or looming. You know,
True.
and who knows? You know, shit might kind of go like, all right, I fucked up. Let's kind of rehash it. And they're like, well, that, you know, John Jones just want to look great. Sergey Pavlovich just want to look great. You're gonna take $1.5 million and you're gonna have to beat 2 people. How does that sound, idiot?
Idiot.
Like, how'd Glory go?
You fucking dumb idiot.
Yeah. How was Glory? How was that, you fucking moron?
How
damn it.
weird of it if how weird would it be if Sergey is the guy to finally officially really beat John Jones?
You're asking me. You're asking me. I'm telling you, it's weird. I mean, why are you asking me? I'm the guy that's like, yeah, this is gonna happen, dude. Get ready. I just feel like there's like, it's like data chunking. Like, you and I have both been, like you said, 2006. I think I was like in and out of it a little bit before that, but to like varying degrees of like insane fanaticism to like, I'll catch it when I can, to like now I'm doing a podcast out of my daughter's bedroom. So it's like you know, but like in between that time, like I'm very good at like noticing patterns. We're just like, okay, well, this is gonna happen now.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no scientific thing to it. It's just like all in this weird meat space in between this like weird ass fucking skull that I have, like this crazy ass deformed head. I'm telling you, dude. And we're gonna be looking at each other.
You store it all in your brows, dude.
Yeah,
your
like that brow line.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that prominent brow line. You know what's crazy is it scares women and children.
You
and
don't
like,
say.
I always used to wonder, like, why are people so freaked out by me? I'm like, I'm like, hello, how are you? And like, very nice, and they're just like, get away from me. But it's like the brow line that I'm showing you, that no one else can see, like a Klingon. It's a good and bad thing, but it's like we're people are I guess are like evolutionarily like inclined to like stay away from people like me because they're just like I guess that brow line shows like a crazy
because you're a few steps behind in evolution or something.
No, just like I would be the dude because like look, I'm a larger dude, like we're both big guys,
yeah,
and I'm kind of like I'm not trying to talk shit, but like I'm pretty strong, I'm athletic. Like it's just like I would be one of those, like if it was like in the Hun days or whatever, I'd be like in the village like burning shit down and like laughing and shit. And like I think that's like one of the fucking the like markers of like, oh, that guy is pretty crazy, dude. And I'm not, but it's just my genetic makeup. It's crazy.
I think one time, I don't remember what started the topic of conversation, but Rodell was, you know how Rodell likes his weird hypotheticals. Yeah. It was one of those deals where it was like, hey, like what would you be doing if it was like, if we lived like 100 years in the past, or like in the fucking 18, like back on like the Little House on the Prairie type of days. And I was like, have you ever heard of a rock quarry, Rodell?
Yeah.
Because that's where we'd be working. That's where I would certainly be working.
I would. That's all I can do is lift heavy things. I'm talking shit again of like, I'm not good at stuff, but like I can lift heavy things and I notice patterns.
Yeah.
So like back in the day, I'd be in a rock quarry, and then I would be like, "Oh, that hawk is getting way too close to my daughter's crib." I just noticed that like he's like over there all the time now, and like I would like move my daughter's crib like 1 inch to the left, and like he'd fucking swoop on another villager.
I always brag about that. Me and my dad built the house that I'm living in right now, and I mean we did,
Uh-huh.
but really what I helped out with was the demo of the original house that was here. I didn't help out so
Oh yeah,
much with the building of the new one, but
yeah,
when we bought the lot, there was a house already here that we had to like just kind of buy like sight unseen. And so once we found out like, oh no, the foundation's fucked, like we just got to build a whole new house on it. Where I helped out was with a sledgehammer, busting up all of the foundation
yeah.
into manageable
With
size
ease,
chunks
huh?
and tossing it into a giant dumpster. I did
Yeah.
that for a lot of
And then all
days.
your uncles watching, you're like, look at him.
Yeah.
Just look at him.
Míralo.
That big old fucking fuck.
Because there's no fucking way my dad was going to rent any heavy machinery
Yeah.
at all. So it's like, yeah, no, we have like
Yeah.
3 sledgehammers and you have 2 cousins. So we're going to do this. So yeah, I know I
Yeah.
could definitely relate to that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
dude. That's like all I can do. You need me to lift some heavy ass shit, like in that awkward ass position. I got you, dog. Don't even worry about it.
Yeah, I feel like my calling, probably our calling, or the if we ever saw a situation where someone was trying to escape from a room and there's like a very heavy automatic door shutting vertically, like coming down like a garage door, that's where you and I would kind of like wipe our hands and be like, okay,
Yeah.
now's our time. We do the Terminator
Yeah.
3 move where we kind of like brace it up with our bodies. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm all about that, dude. Hold up that door for
I'm
anybody.
down. Yeah, and I've always thought about that too. It was like, well, I'm wide. Like if it's like a shooting or something, I'll just like jump in front of the children and just like I'll take like caps to the chest and then like let them run away. You know what I mean? Hold the gate open for them.
What an amazing way to die that would be. I mean, if
Yeah.
we're talking about, sadly, I forget which school shooting it was. It's really fucked up that I have to say that, but I do remember one of them where one of them was like the PE teacher who was like blocking some of the
Yeah.
kids with his own body. And yeah, that was like, dude, what a fucking tears thinking about the
Did you hear
sacrifice
about
that guy's
that?
made.
Yeah. Did you hear about that one cat at that? It was at that mall, and they like broke down the shot. Like the guy went with like a 40 cal. He like had a concealed carry. He's like a young kid too. He just saw the guy like going for an AR, and then he just went nope, and then 40 cal from like a football field and a half away, and like caught
shit.
the guy in the dome and like
Dang.
knocked him down. And then like they don't talk about that, you know what I mean? Because it's just like okay, like for good reason, you know.
I mean, that's
But,
especially insane when you consider like the kickback on a gun like that to hit your
Yeah.
target from that far away, right? Like a 40 cal. It's
No, a handgun. It was like a handgun, so it wasn't
Right.
like a So it wasn't like anything like super powerful.
well, because I think of like
But,
a
like-
44, and I know a 44 is like boom, like that's fucking your hands going back.
Yeah,
but-
no, it's no a 40 cal. I mean, I guess it just depends. But if you would have seen the guy, I think the guy was like 6'6". Like he was a big
Oh.
boy.
Oh,
He was a big guy, and like he just went, "Oh no, you're not." Just like got him from across the food court, just like like I just went down like a sack of shit, and then somebody fucking went to that mall, and they go, "This is the shot," and like he's like, "I'm walking from where the guy did it to where the shooter was." How fucking wild is that? And he did it in like 2 rounds, like pop pop, you're done.
Crazy.
Like, well, anyway, this is a.
I'll tell you who
What
can
were
use.
we talking about?
I'll tell you who can use a 40 caliber with her in her next fight. Montana De La Rosa when she gets into
Yeah.
the cage with Tatiana Suarez. The returning Tatiana Suarez has not competed since 2019 when she won it might have been a split decision or was it a unanimous decision? Either way, she is undefeated in her relatively young MMA record at 8-0. Was looked at as a prospect, someone who was a shoe-in to potentially eventually be a strawweight champion and challenge for that title eventually. She sustained a pretty bad neck injury in that fight with Nina Ansarov, now Nina Nunes. And my understanding is that the neck injury, which is, by the way, classic wrestling injury, they all have fucked up necks.
Yeah.
She's been wrestling since she was 3, so I could imagine that there's a significant wear and tear on her body, and that's probably one of my only holdups with her moving forward, given her injury history. But yeah, she sustained a pretty bad injury in her neck, was told that it was potentially career-ending if she didn't let it heal correctly. So she was out for quite a while because of that. In 2021, she's supposed to come back and fight Roxanne Modafferi in what would be a really fucked up glue factory fight for Roxanne at that point.
That would, like, that's like God got in the way. Like, God was just like, nah. Like, that's like the that's like that one meme where it's like, if boys had time machines, it's like hey, just let him into art class. Okay. And then, like, if girls had time machines, like, hey, just don't go for that takedown, you will fuck up your neck. You know what I mean? It's like, okay. And then, like, what happened? Like, butterfly effect. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, chill on the leg extensions coming into this fight.
Yeah.
God intervened by tearing every ligament in Tatiana Suarez's left knee. So she was out or on the shelf for even longer because of that. Now she's finally coming back. It's been almost 4 years, rough, pretty close. Like, I don't know how many months out it would be from 4 years. And she's fighting Montana De La Rosa. I'm not gonna beat around the bush too much. I'm not super familiar with Montana De La Rosa. From what I have seen, I'm not very impressed. She has wins over all of the flyweights who I'm very underwhelmed by. Ariana Lipski, Mara Barella. And she has losses to kind of the ones that I'm very, very disappointed by her loss to Macy Barber because that was probably the biggest indictment for her going into this fight with Tatiana Suarez, where if I'm looking at a fight where you're getting controlled by the Macy Barber, who, like, a fighter who does not dictate range whatsoever, is the kind of fighter who will try and jab you from like 4 feet away, to kind of be bullied up against the cage and controlled for the majority of the fight against that in her most recent fight back in April of 2022. I think that you don't have to go too far back in her record to understand how one-sided of a fight this could be if Tatiana Suarez is in peak form. We should expect some ring rust. It's been 4 years. Right. I don't think she's superhuman. She's gone through those decisions. We can't realistically expect. She says that she feels 100%, and that's a good sign. But we can't really expect that her neck is better after those injuries. We can't expect that her knee is better. So I think that we could potentially see a situation where she's knocking off a few cobwebs. We've seen her struggle on the feet a bit before with other fighters, and that's also understandable too, because she is pretty much a full-on, I don't want to say a specialist. I always want to say unitasker, but that's like calling her an object almost. But a specialist, you know what I mean? She's not adept in the striking world. I'm curious to see if, while she's been out, if she's been working on that or how much progress she's made in that area, because where we know she could take 4 years off, but if you've been wrestling since you were 3 years old, that's in your muscle memory. Like, I'm not really worried about her wrestling game diminishing or anything in that time. I'm sure it's like riding a bike for her at this point. So as long as that knee holds up, as long as her neck is good, and she doesn't sustain any kind of injuries, and if her conditioning is on point, because she's fighting at flyweight here, where she was making her career at strawweight before, that could potentially be good for her, because she's not, after being off for almost 4 years, she's not struggling to cut weight to get back down to strawweight. She doesn't have to worry about that. And that's something that she mentioned herself too. She's like, I could focus on getting my mind back into fighting and getting out there and just doing what I do without having to spend like the last 2 or 3 days leading up to the fight draining myself and dehydrating my body and my brain. So I think that's only going to help her here. If everything goes as planned, I expect Tatiana Suarez to elbow Montana De La Rosa into a pile of meat. I think that's how it's going to go down. I'm expecting a finish in this fight.
Thank you. No, thank you. And I think
you're going to get cute and pick Montana De La Rosa?
Nope, I'm sure not. But I think what I'm gonna say is a good marker for how do you get over injuries like that is like, look at Kamaru Usman. Wrestlers just find a way to like.
I thought you were going to say do steroids.
No. Well, it was crazy when you were saying that. I was like, well, get on the cycle, bitch. I mean, you've had the time.
It wouldn't surprise me, I guess. But,
yeah. No, but I mean, like, wrestlers just like they they can go through crazy neck, back, knee injuries, and they can just find a way to turn it on. They're just wired differently mentally to do things like that. They carry back injuries with them throughout their entire career. So, I mean, look at fucking Kurt Angle. You know what I mean? Like, Jesus fucking Christ. Like, especially like you're talking about wrestlers like
his spine is fused. Like he's like Batman in the first 2 Batman movies where he has to turn his whole fucking body to look at you, dude.
Yeah, like from the womb wrestlers, they just find a way. So I feel like it's not gonna. When we get deeper down the line, when it gets to like, you know, gals who are a little bit better rounded as you kind of go towards that title shot, then we'll see. But I think for, you know, a prelim fight on this fight card, I think she's more than equipped for it, and I think it's really going to showcase her talent.
Yeah. I'm glad that she intends to go back down to strawweight too. Before, I think when she was going to come back against Roxanne before she sustained her knee injury, I was pretty stoked about the potential for her to stay at flyweight, because Joanna was still fighting at that time, and I didn't want her anywhere near Joanna. Like, a lot of people seem to think that Joanna would have been the toughest fight for her at strawweight because of her takedown defense, and just she's really squirrely, hard to keep down. I mean, I appreciate the positivity, but I was always really worried about that fight. And I think that if she hadn't sustained her neck injury, or she hadn't sustained any of her injuries, it was really lining up where Joanna was still at the top of the division. Well, she wasn't she had already lost to Rose Namajunas at that time when she got injured. But it really just did seem like their paths were bound to cross, and they were potentially going to use Joanna to springboard Tatiana. I've been saying that for a while. I was even worried that they were trying to lure Joanna out of retirement with the Tatiana Suarez return fight. But either way, now that flyweight has some real depth and a contender like Erin Blanchfield there, I think it's kind of cool that Tatiana Suarez is probably going to go back down to strawweight, and we can see them do their things for a bit, because a lot of people are fascinated by the potential of those two locking horns. Tatiana's a bit far away from that. They're slow rolling her, I guess, with this Montana De La Rosa fight. I don't think it would take long for her to get there if she stayed at flyweight, though. Yeah,
no, I totally agree with you there. That's a good point. I really, it just does not get old listening to you talk about WMMA. Like, it's a real treat for me, dude.
Well, there's only like 2 divisions to pay attention to. That's what I always tell people.
Yeah.
I was like, well, yeah, I get it. It seems like a bridge too far, sort of like, oh, I guess like WMMA. And yeah, there's a lot of just objectively not good WMMA fighters also. But yeah, no, it's just 2 more divisions to keep track of. Helps when they're sexy as hell too, though. It's definitely a perk. But
Verna, can't wait.
All right, is there anything else MMA related that you wanted to talk about before we wrap it up? We are at 11:08 right now, so we're about 1 hour in. Yeah, an hour and 13 minutes.
Connor got 3 dudes kicked off of fucking Tough to bring on like his gym partners.
I had
kind of a piece of shit move.
Oh, okay. Fill me in, because I have no idea about anything. They're already filming.
So they I think they filmed, and they're doing like the poster stuff and like kind of like the roster setting and like who's going to be there. And they're like, "Oh, Connor, these are the guys you're gonna be able to pick from." He's like, "No, it's not. These are 3 guys." He's like, "These are 3 guys that are going to fight, and they're going to be on my team." And they're like, "Well, we'd have to kick guys." He's like, "Well, make the call." And I think one of them's Chris Matinho.
Oh, yeah. I saw that he was... he posted something about like, I thought I was going to be on it, but it didn't work out. That is super fucked up, dude. I feel bad for Chris Matinho now, because they were talking about it being like some old people coming back, not old people, but previous contestants, and then new faces and
Chris
stuff.
Matinho's just going to go back to the Foot Clan or whatever it was he was doing before.
The New England Cartel. No, well, he's not with them, but just being some middling like boxing regional, Boston regional fighter.
No, I meant like literally like one of Shredder's hitmen or henchmen, like that like never wins. He's just like one of the first guys out, last guys fucking they mop up at the end.
With that hair, Chris Matinho really did look like a Double Dragon character that you just fight.
Yeah,
in the
that's
street.
what I'm saying. Yeah, he looked like you pull off the mask and was like, "Who's part of the Foot Clan?" Chris Matinho.
Yeah.
Just like, what the hell?
He's got a butterfly knife, just constantly fucking spinning that
God
bitch.
Damn it! Yeah, he's just like swinging a fucking chain with a big ass lock on it. Uh, I everyone's like really up in arms, like this really sucks. It's like, no, it doesn't. Who cares? Like Connor's. Do you remember? Do you guys know Artem Lobov? Have you ever heard of him? Like, what do you mean? He knew he was gonna do this. Like everyone thought like he was gonna show up and it was gonna be like Connor was like UN representative from Ireland. Like, no, dude, he's gonna pull some bullshit and he's doing it. It makes it even that much better because like now everyone's gonna hate those three guys, and like no matter what now, you know. And now this is like Artem being who he was after Connor did that for him in the OG tough that he was in made him like a fucking like lore, like, oh, he's the greatest of all time. It was like a joke.
Yeah.
Like it literally got him like bare knuckle fights and like it gave him a career.
Yeah.
This iteration of Connor's not going to do that. These three guys are going to be fucking hated, dude. Like hated. So it's so funny how like the pendulum swang back.
Yeah.
Like everyone does want to see Connor win, but like everyone wants to see him lose badly too. And like so, I think they're going to be able to take that hate out on these guys.
Yeah, super polarizing, Connor. There's very few people that are just like, yeah, I'm kind of either or on him. He's kind of whatever. He's just there. It's like you really either love him or you hate him. You're kind of weird if you're just in between or don't care.
Yeah. And where are you?
I like Connor I like him for the promotional value. Yeah. Like I like the potential for Connor and like what he could mean. I mean, not that we're like. Not like lightning's gonna strike for us.
Dude, I'm right with you.
In terms of what he represents.
It was like when Trump was the president and like CNN's like hella being watched.
Exactly.
Like, dude, and now he's not, and like look at them now. You know what I mean? It's like,
when Connor fights again, he's taking up the entire thumbnail, and we're gonna dedicate a whole segment to him. Yeah.
What is it, like a rising tide
raises all
high
dinghies.
Tide raises all ships. Yeah, dinghies. Yeah,
or
we're
whatever.
Definitely the dinghy. Yeah, we're not we're not a fucking battleship or whatever. We're definitely a dinghy.
Dinghy weight world champs, dude. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see that? I'm assuming you saw that photo of Connor with Wonder Boy.
Yeah, that was weird. Yeah. I thought you were going to talk about Connor's head. Like, speaking of wild brow line.
Well, that's kind of what I'm getting at because he looked massive. Yeah. He's literally bigger than Wonder Boy. So I'm like looking at that and thinking like, damn, like is Wonder Boy that small of a middleweight? He never seemed small. Well, I mean, he fought at welterweight too. So I guess it shouldn't be that surprising.
He seemed really small when he was young.
Uh-huh.
When he was like, well, I guess younger, like when he was newer to the UFC, he seemed small as hell.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Connor looked huge.
Yeah, undeniably, his head was a lot bigger. And I laugh at like I look at the comment sections and see the people like the Connor stands like making excuses for it. It's like, dude, if you're a Connor fan, how are you just not owning that's HGH, dog? Like, come on, you're supposed to be playing the heel, or you're a fan of the heel. So it's like you're denying it for. But yeah,
who cares? I hope he did. I hope he's still on copious amounts of it.
If he intends to keep fighting at lightweight, I'll go so far as to say he's going to need it. Because he's going to have to, it's going to be a very precarious path to kind of keep him in contendership in a division like lightweight. Because there's just like a handful of guys that you can kind of dig up and put in there as warm bodies that he's going to be capable of putting on a fight with. And I think there's some that are kind of surprise you too. Like I don't mean to completely discount him, but if you put him in there with like, I mean, not that I would pick him, but a Fiziev, I mean, it's not like he's going to get completely ran over. I mean, there's still going to be a puncher's chance. But of course we got to see what he looks like on his newly healed foot though, because that man could touch the back of his shin with the heel of his foot. How long has it been? Like a year, over a year ago now that happened. It's been on the shelf for a little bit.
Yeah, that was about a year and a half, right?
Significant. I mean, one of the first injuries of that kind that I saw was when it happened to Anderson Silva. I know it happened to Corey Hill back in the day, but I wasn't watching that fight live when it happened. But I remember when that happened too. That's just something that I would see back then and think, oh, you're done. Like that's career ending. Like I didn't. When that happened to Anderson, I didn't think Anderson was ever going to fight again. I thought, like, dude, you can't come back from that. But I mean, that shows the limitations of my knowledge of like what you can heal from and be competitive in mixed martial arts. Or maybe everyone's just fucking jacked off of steroids when it comes to injuries like that. I don't know. You would know better than me.
No, you're exactly, you're right on there. Who else? Weidman had it, right? Weidman. Yeah, and then like lesser known guys.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, wow, dude. Do you remember that one from the NCAA tournament? That dude, was it Andrade? What was his name? Something Ware, Michael Ware or Kevin Ware from Louisville when it broke and like you can see the bone. Remember that?
Was that in a basketball game?
Yeah,
I do
that
remember
Louisville
that
game, and it was like hanging in. Yeah, and then like everyone on the sideline was like rousing it.
yeah, I do remember that. I saw the clip of it because he goes down right in front of his bench, and like there's videos where it like focuses on their reactions, and it's just all
the dudes are just crying,
hands over faces, looking away.
Dude, being MMA fans too, it's like we're just laughing at that shit. Psychopaths. I remember just laughing, and my mom was like, "What is wrong with you? Like, why?" And I was like, "Look at the way." And I go, the coach closed his zipper in his jacket. And I was like, "Oh my god!" I guess being there for it so live, because like we're so detached, like, and we're so like detached from reality with like the screen time that we have now. To where if you see it in real life, it probably wouldn't be as crazy. I mean, I've said that though, and been in some weird situations and still laugh. So I don't know. I think something's wrong with me. But
in our head, when we see something like that, like we're just hearing like dun 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 dun.
It's like a promo video.
All right, man. Well, I think we could put a bow on it there. Fun episode. Thanks for sticking it out with me, even though we have really I think the highlights of this episode for me anyways, we're talking about the WMMA fights behind us and in front of us, but yeah, thanks for joining me again.
The cards look crazy, right? Let's see, let's just kind of look at it. So we got this one coming up, then we have 285, which is Jones, Grasso, Shavkat, right?
Huge card.
Gamrot, Turner, Bone Nickel. Then we have Jan Dawashvili, which is wild as hell.
Great fight.
Yeah. Then we have the Leon Usman and Gaethje Fazeev. So that's wild. And then that's when it's going to be like, okay, they're going to start like throwing, like Hamzat's going to get thrown on one of those.
Yeah. And these cards are like back to back to back to back too.
And then
4 consecutive weeks.
Sandhagen.
Yeah. There's like a stacked pay-per-view, a really good fight night, another stacked pay-per-view. We're going to have episodes that are going to be packed to the brim where we're talking about the previous weekend's card fights.
Yeah.
And then having to talk about like an equally stacked upcoming card too. Like those are going to be really good episodes.
Yeah, and then Pereira, Adesanya, and then like you said, you just know they're going to throw somebody on somewhere. They're gonna throw fucking Dustin's gonna be on there on one of them, Hamzat's, like those big names are like lurking to get signed here on these big cards, so. And Adesanya, they never kind of like they always kind of like stack an Adesanya card for, he's not the champ anymore, but we've talked about that in the past, so that's exciting, man.
Yeah. Good stuff ahead of us. We'll just have to get through one more week of somewhat mediocre MMA. But we'll be back next week to talk about that same mediocre MMA. Until then, if you'd like this episode, if you have any thoughts, if you want to share your thoughts on anything that you heard us talk about, I encourage you to leave a comment. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, ring the bell if you don't want to miss any of our future episodes. And until then, we'll see you on the next episode of The Fight Plug. Have a good night.